The Indian potbelly, once a harmless cultural caricature, a symbol of comfort and prosperity, even a kind of middle-aged status trophy, is now emerging as one of the most alarming and underestimated public health threats in the country. What was once merely the subject of jokes in Bollywood films or the trademark of a lazy bureaucrat in political cartoons has transformed into a far deadlier and far-reaching issue, one that is now recognized not just by physicians, but also by global health researchers as a ticking metabolic time bomb. The statistics are staggering, and they are worsening at a pace that should terrify anyone who cares about the future of India's health. As of 2021, 180 million Indian adults were classified as overweight or obese, ranking the country second only to China. By 2050, that number is expected to balloon to 450 million people, nearly one-third of India's projected population. At the center of this growing crisis is not generalized obesity, but a far more dangerous and stealthy culprit: abdominal obesity, often cloaked in cultural normalcy and social indifference. This belly fat, often dismissed with a shrug or even a sense of misplaced pride, is not harmless. It is biologically toxic. Unlike fat stored in other parts of the body, abdominal or visceral fat accumulates around critical internal organs like the liver, pancreas, and intestines. This fat actively interferes with the body's metabolic functions, especially the way it processes insulin, leading directly to insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and even certain types of cancer. These are not speculative risks. They are proven, well-documented, and alarmingly common among middle-aged Indians, many of whom are unaware of the ticking bomb growing beneath their shirts. The Indian waistline is expanding, and with it, a national health catastrophe. According to the National Family Health Survey, NFHS 5, an astonishing 40% of Indian women and 12% of Indian men already show signs of abdominal obesity. Among urban women aged 30 to 49, nearly 1 in 2 are affected. These numbers may sound clinical, but their implications are not. They mean millions are already on a path toward chronic disease, premature aging, and early death. And the truth is, many of them don't even look overweight in conventional terms. South Asians, including Indians, have a unique and unfortunate genetic predisposition. At the same BMI, they tend to carry more body fat, and worse, fat that is poorly stored and more likely to end up in dangerous places. Our fat cells are larger, less efficient, and more likely to overflow, leading to fat deposits in places where they do the most harm. This means that even a person who appears slim by societal standards can have dangerously high visceral fat levels and be at grave risk of metabolic disease. This makes visual assessment useless. The threat is silent, invisible, and insidious. This silent killer thrives on a perfect storm of urbanization, dietary shifts, and cultural complacency. Traditional Indian diets have been drowned in a flood of ultra-processed foods, sugary beverages, and calorie-dense takeout meals. Greasy street food, sugar-loaded chai, and late-night snacking culture have made it easy to consume far more than the body can handle, especially given how modern life has squeezed physical activity into near non-existence. What used to be a society of movement, walking, manual labor, home-cooked meals, has been reduced to one of screens, delivery apps, and metabolic stagnation. From 2009 to 2019, India was among the fastest-growing consumers of ultra-processed food and drink. During the same period, exercise rates stagnated. It's no coincidence that metabolic diseases began to spike at the same time. Junk food is cheap, addictive, and aggressively marketed. Combine that with genetic vulnerability and a culture that still too often views a man with a large stomach as healthy or well-off, and you have a recipe for disaster. Even more disturbingly, doctors are reporting that abdominal obesity is appearing earlier, even in children. The damage is being done young, and it's being normalized. This is not just a crisis of the present. It is a crisis being embedded into the next generation. Medical experts are now calling for far more aggressive action, and they are right to do so. Standard global guidelines are not sufficient for South Asian bodies. While Western populations might maintain health with 150 minutes of exercise per week, Indians need nearly double that, 250 to 300 minutes per week, just to stay metabolically safe. That's a brutal truth. The Indian body is less forgiving, more vulnerable, and requires stricter discipline. New classifications by the Indian Obesity Commission now define a two-stage model, one where elevated BMI is present but without disease, and a second, far more dangerous, where abdominal fat is causing visible harm, such as diabetes, cardiovascular issues, or joint pain. The second stage, once reached, is far harder to reverse, often requiring not just exercise and diet, but intensive medical intervention, including weight loss drugs like semaglutide or tirzepatide, treatments that are expensive and not widely accessible to India's poorer population. What's worse is that there is no quick fix for this problem. Fat stored around the belly doesn't disappear overnight. Crash diets don't work. Most people regain the weight. Without sustained lifestyle change and public health policy reforms, the problem will not just remain. It will escalate. Make no mistake, this is not just a health issue. It is an economic one. It is a social one. It is a national security issue. A sick population drains productivity, burdens healthcare systems, and shortens lifespans. It creates a cycle where chronic illness becomes the norm and prevention is replaced by endless treatment. And so, what was once an object of satire, the harmless potbelly of a paunchy uncle or a corrupt official, is now an unmistakable sign of danger. It is no longer funny. It is no longer something to brush aside or shrug off. It is quite simply a slow death sentence, creeping up on millions who think they are fine until one day they are not. The Indian potbelly must no longer be seen as a badge of age or wealth. It must be recognized for what it is, a visible manifestation of a deep internal imbalance, a red flag that warns of catastrophe long before symptoms appear. The time to laugh at it is over. The time to fear it and fight it is now.